Chris here, back reviewing scooters. This is called the Urbetter M8. It weighs just over 16 kilos. And unlike other scooters that I've reviewed, this has not a deck on the top that you stand on, but footwells either side, footrests that you stand up on. And that means you've got a bit of a lower center of gravity there, and it does feel a little bit better. And it also caters then to this, which is the seat you can clearly see that it has. You can either remove it or keep it on. Now the handlebars do fold down. It has 3 power levels. We've got an eco mode, normal mode, and a sport mode with a top speed of 25 kilometers per hour. The motor's in the rear hub. Now this is 350 watts, and the battery, which is located just here under the frame, that's a 518 watt hour battery, which they claim should last for about 45 kilometers, the range, which of course I'll be putting to the test. Now the brakes on it, it has a front drum brake and the rear, which is electronic. I'll also let you know all the pros and cons here in my time testing out the M8. If you are going to be riding long distances, there is the removable seat that you can attach. The seat is height adjustable with some quick releases right here, and when you press down on it, you'll notice that it does have a spring in it, which is a strong spring, and that does soak up any of the little bumps when you ride along. So it's comfortable, and there's quite a bit of padding too to the seat. There is a quick release mechanism here too for the seat post, so you can flick that up, pop it down, and then proceed to slot that seat into the front here to get it completely out of the way. So the metal frame on this one, it's made out of alloy, and it is quite lightweight, so the total weight is just over 16 kilos. And you can see that we do have these storage pouches on either side. Either side we have these footrests, so you don't stand on top of the deck like other scooters. You would normally be standing about this level. This is lower down, which I do actually like. It's quite comfortable and it lowers your center of gravity. Our motor in the rear, this runs off 36 volts and it is 350 watts, 10-inch tires. Air-filled tires, these ones, so they aren't solid rubber. That means they do soak up a few bumps. Now they claim they are puncture resistant, but I would always put a little bit of slime, some anti-puncture solution in these just in case. So drum brake here in the front, and the rear brake, that's electronic. Up the front there is a bright LED headlight, and then another bright LED in the rear with a reflector too. So good for safety, and we even have those reflectors on either side. But then that reflector is going to be blocked by our legs when we stand on the footrests. We have another storage area right here in the middle, and you can get a large carry bag that fits in the middle there, so you can store even more things. For example, shopping, or even put a small little dog here, which they have put in there, one of their photos of their press material. So the battery is located just under here, and that is 518 watt hours, which they claim can last for up to 45 kilometers, the range. And I'll be putting that to the test. Charge time of it is approximately 5 to 6 hours. The charge port location's right here in the middle. Now there is a rubber dust-proof and splash-proof cap that goes over the top it to stop that plug getting all blocked up with anything. But I don't particularly like the location of it, and sometimes it is a bit difficult to get that rubber cap to sit over and in the DC plug there. The handlebars are collapsible on this model. You need to press in right here, and then this latch drops down. You can see the welds around this, and then the feel of it does feel good. It doesn't have any play to it. So once you drop down that latch, you can simply then collapse the handlebar, and that allows you to stow it away in the boot of a car, for example. And our handlebars here, we don't have lock grips with this, so they tend to move about a little bit. So I would probably swap them out for lock grips myself. Here's our accelerator. Now this only works once you kick off and get up to about 1 or 2 kilometers. We've got our brake right here. So pulling on that will then activate the front drum brake and also the electric brake on the rear. We've got a bell, which is loud enough. And this right here is a latch. So when you collapse the handlebar, you can latch it into the frame. Now the turning circle, that is the maximum there, and you get a little bit less on the left than you do with the right for some reason. Then our controller here, so the display's a little hard to see. It doesn't like my camera shutter, but you can see it in daylight and it is backlit. So we've got our battery gauge right here. So each one of these bars represents 25% of the battery. It does not have an odometer or a trip meter. It's very basic, so it's just speed only. And then we've got our 3 power levels. So the first level is up to 10 kilometers per hour only. Second level up to 20. And then the third, which is the maximum power, that's up to 25 kilometers per hour. So it's just up and down here that you can adjust and go through those different levels. Now you can turn on with this button here at the bottom, the front headlight and the rear tail light. And if you hold it, it has a walk mode, which is very handy. If you need to push the scooter up a hill, it will activate and engage that rear motor to help you. Now I do have this feature on my Trek Rail 5 e-bike, and it's very handy when you have to push a heavy bike or a scooter. Finally, a fantastic day here with only a little bit of cloud. It's been so rainy and wet the last week that's been delaying all my e-bike and e-scooter reviews. So this scooter here, the kickstand, works well. It doesn't rattle, it holds the weight of it just fine. And as I pointed out, the seat does tend to rattle around a little bit when you're not actually sitting on it, but it's not a problem. When you sit on it, it then doesn't move around or make any noise, which is good. So you just need to press the top button there for about 2 seconds. It then powers on, and it will remember the pedal level, or should I say, sorry, the power level you were in before. So power level 1 is only up to 10 kilometers. We'll test this. So you just need to kick off, that's it, and away you go. But I do find that 10 kilometers per hour, this is a snail pace here. If you're trying to save on the battery, maybe that's ideal, but number 2 is a lot better. So that's 20 kilometers per hour. So it's really ideal for city, urban environments, this scooter. Not a lot of hills, and I'll get onto some hill climb tests soon, but in the bike lane, just great. Really nice and smooth. So I do have a bike I need to give away to right here. I'll just go around them. And I've now put it into the level 3. So that's 25 kilometers per hour maximum speed, which is the legal limit here in Europe. I cannot unfortunately go over 25, and it won't do that anyway. So at the time now it is 24, okay? 24 kilometers per hour, 25, very, very smooth. So turning easy. The riding position, actually very good. I'm upright, and even with that seat, I'm sitting upright. I'm not gonna get a sore back like this, and I can see straight ahead really clear, which is good, no problems. And the handlebar height, for my height of 182 centimeters, I find to be, well, pretty much perfect. No problems with that either. So very smooth along here, no issues. And of course, you can stand up, which I do prefer. The seat just makes me feel really lazy, even though standing, well, it's just the same. I'm not even pedaling because the scooter's doing all the work for me. Now I can occasionally hear a bit of rattle coming from the rear mudguard. So this isn't really that steep, and my speed's down to about 20 kilometers per hour. So the 350 watt motor is doing okay, but now with this even slightly steeper part, it is slowing down to 18. So it's not to the point where I have to get out, or get off it, should I say, and start to kick along or push it. But these small little climbs do certainly affect your top speed, and I'm starting to pick up again, back to 22 kilometers per hour, 23. Now for my climb test, so this is about a 25 to 30 degree gradient here. This is quite steep, so it's hard for these scooters. Let's have a look and see how the Urbetter M8 is going to fare here. I'm in the power level 3, which is the sport mode, full 350 watts. So it's going up this okay, but it is definitely starting to struggle with this 25-30 degree climb, and there we go. It's too much for my 81 kilos and this steep climb. So you really can only tackle climbs of about 15 to 10 degrees with this scooter. So now I do see why it has the walk button. So you press that, hold it down, and that helps you push it up these steeper hills. At least it gives us this. And my brake test. So once I get to this post here, I'm going to put on full-on brake. So it's the drum brake and then that electric brake at the back. And that braking performance is okay. It could be a little bit better, especially that front brake. Most of the braking power does come from the electronic brake using that motor. And I have made it to the end of the coast here. It's been a very comfortable, smooth ride. You want to stick to roads, definitely. There's no suspension. Now the tires, they do have air in them, of course, so they soak up some bumps, and then the seat post with the dampener in it, while the suspension is helping to make the ride a little more comfortable. Now, what about the range of the scooter? So my first charge I did find to be quite disappointing, only 14 kilometers in range, and that was me riding around mostly on the flat there. With any climbs, it really does seem to drop that battery right down, and you just see those bars disappear quite quickly with the climbs. Now, on the second charge, I managed to get 18 kilometers out of it, and I'm thinking that really it's about that. So you're going to get around 18 to 20, maybe 23 or 22 kilometers if you use the lower power levels. And I mostly used level 3, which I think most people would probably do with that 25 kilometers per hour limit there, which is EU law, of course. On the power setting normal, which is in the middle, number 2, it's 20 kilometers. You can save a little bit on battery life there, which isn't too bad. So the climbing performance on this, as expected for a scooter of this style and this power, which is not super powerful, it's only 350 watts, that it does struggle with anything over about 15-20 degrees. With my climb test, that was approximately 25-30. It was simply too much for a scooter like this, so you have to get off and then push it. At least we do have the walk mode, so you can hold down that button and then it will power itself along just lightly, so you're able to walk along and not have to push it up those hills, and it just makes it a little bit easy there, which is good. Speaking of easy, well, it's a very nice, cruisy, easy ride on this with that seat. It's large, it is comfortable to sit on, and it does have the dampener in it, so it does soak up a few of those bumps there in the ride, which is great. Now, the wheels are air-filled, so they also do soak up some tiny little bumps on there, but there are no shocks on this one at all. It's really just for city urban riding on the flathead too, considering the kind of range you can get out of it. Build quality overall, I do think is good. It's not bad at all. I've had no problems with it. There is only one rattle, and that just seems to be the rear mudguard. At times can make a little bit of noise there. Now, the braking performance, drum brake at the front doesn't do a lot of the work. It's mostly the electric brake in the rear 350 watt motor that does most of the braking performance there was coming out of that. And I find the brakes to be adequate. You can stop when you need to, which is good, but I wouldn't rate these brakes as being exceptional. They are just okay and standard there. So it's good that we've got a lot of cargo space. If you're someone that goes shopping and you like to put things into a scooter, that's really great there. And you've got plenty of room for your feet with the footrests either side of it. I do actually like this design of it. The fact that you've got so much room, your feet aren't on the top of the deck, which they would be with other scooters, and the frame of this one is simply too high for that anyway. So you get a lower center of gravity when you're riding along, which is very comfortable, and it gives you a bit more stability there. So overall, the build quality, the typical top speed is great. There's a lot of things I like about it, especially the seat. If you want to have a real cruisy ride, that's good. It's just for me really the range. I wish that was a lot better, because I do find just getting around 20 kilometers for some people with their commutes maybe a little bit close there, and you don't want to have to take the charger along with you to charge this up at work, is really not ideal there, is it too? So thank you so much for watching my review here of the Urbetter M8 e-scooter.